This week on Christian World News, told they had weeks to live, terminal patients are getting extra years. We'll go inside the cancer center that's saving lives from all over the world to see how God is at work. Plus, the Supreme Court hears a case that could strike a blow against abortion in America. Why pro-lifers believe this could be a historic moment. And lockdowns in Israel mean you can't visit this Christmas, but a taste of the Holy Land can come to you. Welcome to Christian World News. I'm Gary Lane. Doctors gave 46-year-old Michelle Tucker just weeks to live. Instead of going home and giving up, Michelle turned to a small Christian hospital that's been treating patients for 60 years. George Thomas takes us to Tijuana, Mexico, for a first-hand look at the oasis of hope.
August 2017. Michelle Tucker remembers the words from that day in the doctor's office as her oncologist delivered the news.
I was told I had about 4 weeks to live, to go home and get my affairs in order.
The 46-year-old mother of three had battled cancer since she was 19. It started in her breast, first spreading to her thyroid, and then pancreas.
I figured I would take my children maybe to the beach for the first week of those 4 weeks and just sit on the beach. But at the same time, I had the attitude of like, who are you to tell me my expiration date? There's only one person that can do that, and that's not a doctor. No offense to medicine. That's the man upstairs.
In desperation, she researched alternative cancer treatments and ended up here at the Oasis of Hope Hospital.
If you get diagnosed with cancer, you're not going to travel to Tijuana, Mexico. But when they have reached a point where the doctor's saying, we really can't do anything else for you, this is a typical person that comes to Oasis of Hope.
25 miles south of San Diego and just across the Mexican border, Tucker believes God is using Oasis of Hope to give her a chance to continue living.
From the moment that you walk in the doors, you feel this overwhelming spiritual presence. There's the pastor that sings with you, they pray with you, you become a family.
Tucker has been in remission now for 2 years. Oasis of Hope was started in 1963 by the late Mexican doctor Ernesto Contreras Sr., who believed in taking a holistic approach to fighting cancer. His son, Dr. Francisco Contreras, now serves as the hospital's president.
My father felt that the reason for the failure in oncology and medicine overall is that we have become just mechanics of the human body.
So the idea for Oasis of Hope originated back in the early 1960s when Contreras' father decided to go on a missions trip to Greece. And on that trip, he discovered three important elements that are today at the core of the hospital.
Contreras says while traditional oncology focuses on destroying the tumor, his father, a physician, wanted the hospital to focus on the patient's emotional renewal, spiritual revival, as well as physical restoration. The founder's grandson, Daniel Kennedy, serves as the hospital's CEO.
So there is no other clinic in Tijuana that actually has a pastor on the payroll, praying for patients every day, opening with praise and worship.
Ernesto Lopez is that pastor. He used to lead a local church in Tijuana. Now he walks the corridors of the hospital, ministering to the spiritual and emotional needs of patients.
Yeah.
Seen a lot of miracles?
A lot of miracles, miracles of healing, miracles of salvation.
Using a combination of conventional treatments with alternative therapies such as whole-body hypothermia, ozone therapy, and dendritic cell vaccine immunotherapy, Oasis of Hope says it has treated more than 100,000 cancer patients from 60 countries.
The majority come from the United States because we're just across the border from San Diego.
So you're in charge of everything that lands on a patient's table here at Oasis.
Rosa Tesada is the hospital's nutritionist. Working with kitchen staff, Tesada has designed a cancer-fighting plant-based food program to help patients live a healthier life. 90% of the meals served here are vegan-based.
Okay, so we don't want to make anybody feel like you have to leave your old life back. Just let's add some new, more greens, more vegetables, and then just kind of enjoy food and go along with it.
The hospital grows vegetables on its rooftop garden and teaches patients how to prepare healthy meals.
So what we do is help them to see, hey, you can make very healthy dishes very fast and very easy.
There remain several opinions on this alternative approach and others. For example, the American Cancer Society states some complementary methods have generally not been proven to help prevent or treat cancer or its symptoms. It recommends discussing any treatment patients might consider with their doctor or cancer team. While doctors at Oasis of Hope are proud to share success stories like Kayla's, Michelle's, and others, they point out not all patients who come here will make it. Still, Dr. Contreras believes all deserve to be treated with compassion and the love of Christ.
I believe that hope is a very powerful tool and that all patients should have hope.
Contreras says what he, along with his team of doctors, nurses, nutritionists, pastors, and counselors, are negotiating for is more time for patients.
I cannot guarantee anything. I cannot guarantee anything for myself. The only thing that I can guarantee is that I'm going to sit with you and I'm going to do everything possible and I'm going to negotiate with you for life. And God will decide yes, no, or maybe.
George Thomas, CBN News, Tijuana, Mexico.
Up next, why pro-lifers believe this could be a historic moment in the fight for life. Pro-lifers are feeling cautiously optimistic after a momentous Supreme Court hearing this week. The big question, will the justices strike down the 1973 ruling that legalized abortion in America? Heather Sells reports on the arguments inside the courtroom and the protests outside.
Almost 50 years after the Supreme Court legalized abortion, its new conservative majority is showing signs it will possibly allow the states to ban abortion much earlier in a pregnancy. And it may go even further.
A right to abortion is not grounded in the text, and it's grounded on abstract concepts.
Mississippi Solicitor General Scott Stewart defended his state's 15-week ban and argued that Roe has no basis in the Constitution, as did Justice Clarence Thomas.
If we were talking about the Second Amendment, I know exactly what we're talking about. If we're talking about the Fourth Amendment, I know what we're talking about because it's written, it's there. What specifically is the right here that we're talking about?
Stewart told the justices that the states, not the High Court, should decide.
You're arguing that the Constitution's silent and therefore neutral on the question of abortion. In other words, that the Constitution's neither pro-life nor pro-choice on the question of abortion, but leaves the issue for the people of the states or perhaps Congress to resolve in the democratic process. Is that accurate?
Right. We're saying it's left to the people, Your Honor.
The lawyer defending Mississippi's abortion clinic told the court that it must protect women's liberty and argued that women have come to rely on abortion.
We tried to emphasize just how important the right has been to women's ability to pursue a profession, to their health, to their lives.
And the liberal justices warned that if the court reverses Roe, it will face losing the public's trust.
Will this institution survive the stench that this creates in the public perception that the Constitution and its reading are just political acts?
What do we fight for, women and girls?
Outside the court, CBN's Tara Mergener spoke with worried abortion activists and upbeat pro-lifers.
Protesters on both sides started gathering here in front of the Supreme Court before sunrise as justices consider a case that could fundamentally change abortion law in this country.
This is a historical moment for the pro-life movement.
This case means a lot of danger for a lot of people.
Not even the experts are sure just how the court will rule.
It is hard to read the tea leaves, even as a constitutional attorney.
But after hearing the justices on Wednesday, there's a growing sense on both sides that change is coming.
I am optimistic that Roe will be overturned. You know, whether it's in this case or the next case or even the one after, we are making headway, and that's what's most important.
While Justice Roberts could be the one to hold back a sweeping ruling, Both sides are preparing for the justices to overturn Roe. That would turn the issue over to the states, creating a new debate and perhaps a new sense of urgency around helping pregnant women and new moms. Heather Sells, CBN News.
A Northern Virginia teacher who won a legal battle with his school board over transgender policy says the experience increased his trust in God. Tanner Cross spoke with CBN News after the Loudoun County School Board agreed to reinstate him in a court settlement. Tara Mergner has this story.
Tanner tells me this is a major triumph, not just for him, but for educators and people of faith who want to take a stand.
Loudoun County Public Schools can no longer punish me for my speech that I made back in May. And that should tell teachers in our community and maybe in the country that, hey, you know, if you want to go advocate for your students at a school board meeting and you think that harmful ideologies maybe coming in through your school board or being implemented into your lessons to, you know, go voice your opinion.
In the spring, the Loudoun County School Board tried to silence Cross after he told members he would not refer to students by their preferred pronouns.
I'm a teacher, but I serve God first, and I will not affirm that a biological boy can be a girl and vice versa, because it's against my religion, it's lying to a child, it's abuse to a child, and it's sinning against our God.
Those words got Cross suspended, while school officials argue Policy 8040 was introduced to create more equity for transgender students. Cross insists it violates his Christian faith and his First Amendment rights.
My faith made me go to that school board meeting.
As part of a settlement reached in November, Tanner will keep his job, have the suspension removed from his record, and receive $20,000 from the county to help pay his legal fees. Alliance Defending Freedom, which represented Tanner in the case, is pleased with the outcome.
What I think this case shows is that the Constitution doesn't have some carve out for certain ideologies or some carve out for certain viewpoints that people don't like. No, this covers everything.
Meanwhile, Cross says the ordeal has brought him closer to God.
I learned to trust God more. So my faith grew, and it's just growing more and more as we go. And God's he's granting us with what we believe, you know, he's granted us victories because of our obedience to him.
And the court battle isn't over yet. ADF, along with Cross and two other Loudoun County teachers, are still suing over Policy 8040, which also allows transgender students to use bathrooms that match their gender identity. In Washington, I'm Tara Mergener, CBN News.
Television's founder and president Marcus Lamb passed away Tuesday. The network statement reports complications from COVID-19 as the cause of his death. Lamb began preaching at 15. He founded Word of God Fellowship Church in 1981. He then started the first Christian TV station in Alabama in 1985. And he launched the Daystar Network in 1997. CBN founder Pat Robertson saluted Marcus Lamb's life, saying he'll be remembered by millions. Lamb is survived by his wife Joni and their 3 children. He was 64 years old. Well, up next, a silent night in Bethlehem. COVID has shut down the town where Jesus was born. Tourists aren't coming to the Holy Land. Now meet the people who are bringing the Holy Land to them. Welcome back to Christian World News. When the COVID pandemic struck Israel, many Christian businesses in the Holy Land almost went under. Nearly 2 years later, businesses are still helping these merchants keep doing business in the place where it all began 2,000 years ago. Chris Mitchell reports.
Last year, the pandemic kept most tourists away from places like here in Jerusalem's Old City Market or Shuk. This year, the number of visitors began to grow. But now with the Omicron variant, Israel has once again shut its doors to the outside world.
Many businesses are just closed and shut down. And many people started to find different source and incomes. I just from here, 4 or 5 of my neighbors have left in this small area.
The pandemic hit nearby Bethlehem too, a tourist town with few visitors.
Because of the coronavirus, we don't see any more tourists in Bethlehem, but we hope that next year will be better and we will see again the American people here in Bethlehem.
Zach Mishriki owns a 3rd-generation gift shop in the Old City of Jerusalem. He says Christians in the Holy Land need support.
It's very important because we understand that Christ is the only solution for Jerusalem. And we need to have Christians in Jerusalem to live here in Jerusalem so that we can interact with both sides and show them the hope and then talk about it.
When the pandemic hit last year, Mishriki went online with ZachJerusalemGifts.com.
I was able to see that online is the only hope, the only connection. To reach the whole world from Jerusalem is only online.
From olive wood nativity sets to coins from the time of Jesus and oil lamps, Mishriki offers a wide range of Christmas gifts. He wants to provide gifts with meaning while supporting Christian brothers and sisters in the Holy Land.
I do my best to make it all biblical, to make it all my gifts connected to the Bible, and to connect it to the tradition and connect it to Christians from the Middle East.
That's where Artsa Box comes in too, a Jewish company designed to bring the Holy Land to Christians in North America and founded when the pandemic shut down Israel. Founder Itai Schimmel showed us his Artsa display in our Jerusalem studio.
We thought, how can we try and create something that supports the small Israeli businesses and charities in Israel, and at the same time builds this connection and this bridge to people in America, particularly Christians in America, and how can they experience Israel, the land of the Bible, in a meaningful and a fun and an immersive way, and to really take you on a journey through the land.
An Artsa Box subscription provides gifts from the Holy Land 4 times a year, made locally by folks like Jamil Hosh. This month's Artsa Box focuses on the towns connected with the life of Jesus.
So we have Bethlehem, Jerusalem, Galilee, and Nazareth. And we've got 2 products from each of those places. So we thought it would be very fitting and appropriate for Christmas, which celebrates the birth of Jesus. So how can we try and take the 4 cities and places which were most important to his life, and how can we try and take that and put it inside the box and deliver it for Christmas?
Like Christmas last year, Artsa includes gifts from Jamil Hosh's Bethlehem Olive Wood Shop. New this year is a gift from artist Noah Atias.
What I made for Artsa was a home blessing for them. Actually, I have it right here with me. I'll show it to you. It's a blessing of peace onto your home. I think everyone today needs peace all over the world, and I basically that's my blessing to every home.
Since its founding, Artsa has worked with 42 businesses in the land and 8 charities. For Schimmel, it's all part of the Jewish concept of Tikkun Olam, healing the world.
For me, my Tikkun Olam is how can I connect people to Israel? How can I bring that experience of Israel and the Holy Land to people's homes? And at the same time, how can I help connect people and support small businesses here in Israel?
Schimmel says the gift boxes bring the Holy Land to life.
People open it and they share it with their families, and they bring it to their church groups, or it's homeschool moms, or it's people on date nights or with their grandkids. So people have really, really loved it, and they get moved by this box. It's not just a gift box, it's kind of like this real experience which touches people's hearts.
Like Schimmel, Mishriki believes the times we're living in demand hope.
We know the time is not easy and difficult, and through our gifts and with the things we supply to people, we try to bring hope. God has never left us. God has been faithful, and He is, and He has no reason not to be faithful to us. So have hope, and Christmas should bring hope.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem's Old City.
More information on how to order gifts from Zach's or the Artsa Boxes, we have links at our website, cbnnews.com. We'll be right back. The Advent season has begun, and for many families, it's a busy time of year. But one mom is working to help instill calm as we prepare to celebrate the birth of Christ. Jennifer Wishon tells us how.
It's the most wonderful time of the year, but let's face it, for many families, Christmas time is chaotic. There are parties to plan, cookies to bake, gifts to buy, and after all the hustle, many people find themselves depleted come Christmas Eve. Mother and grandmother Melissa Carey has been there.
I really want to empower and equip moms with a way to take the chaos out of Christmas, how to have an intentional, peaceful Advent.
Carrie says she's longed for an Advent calendar that goes deeper than Mary, Joseph, and some camels.
I wanted more from the nativity set. I wanted more from the Advent calendar than stale chocolates. I knew that there was something so much richer and deeper to the story.
So she made one that you too can enjoy.
I looked at what the world had to offer in nativity scenes and creches, and then I looked at what the Word had to offer. What's in the Word about the Nativity? What does the Bible tell us? And that's what I modeled the Christmas cabinet after.
Each day of Advent, families can open a drawer in her Christmas cabinet to find a piece of the story of Christ's birth.
These are completely biblically accurate. And for me, it was really important to start with the concept of atonement. Atonement is a really hard concept to understand, but it's the whole reason Jesus came. And so we start on the very first day with the high priest Zechariah going into the Holy of Holies to offer a sin atonement.
She includes a book which offers biblical and historical text for each day of Advent, along with a question to immerse families deeper into the miraculous story.
Well, one of my favorite days is Bethlehem, and we talk about how Bethlehem is a very small village just a few miles south of Jerusalem. And we weave in the history of the Old Testament, and we weave in the prophecies. The prophet Micah says that from Bethlehem will come the Savior of the world. And my favorite part is Bethlehem. Anytime you see Beth, it means house of, but Bethlehem means house of bread, which is amazing because Jesus calls himself the bread of life.
Carrie's Christmas cabinet even includes a bag of real frankincense.
So it's really important for me to look at the historical significance of each one of the figures, tie in the Old Testament prophecies, the New Testament teachings, as well as the application from biblical history.
She's in awe of stories about how God is using her product, but she also offers free resources on her website for each day of Advent. For her, it's all about sharing the true meaning of Christmas.
The figure for December 24th is a Christmas gift. And we talk about how God sent Jesus as the best gift we could ever receive. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that each and every one of us who believe in him shall not perish but have eternal life.
Now Carrie has the Advent calendar she always wanted, and you can too. Jennifer Wishon, CBN News, Arlington, Virginia.
To learn more about the Christmas cabinet, log on to our website, cbnnews.com. Thanks for joining us this week. Until next week, goodbye and God bless.